Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, the show that takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible.
Welcome to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Hello, everybody. How is it going today? I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. I live in Canada, so this weekend has been my Thanksgiving weekend. So I've got to spend some time with my family, catch up with some family I haven't seen in a little while, so it's been really nice. And this is my favorite time of the year. Well, my second favorite time of the year. I love winter, but fall is just so beautiful outside. I love being able to go outside. So with all that being said, I had a pretty awesome weekend, so I hope that you had an awesome weekend as well. I am back with more information to help you live your life to the fullest and the happiest. And today's topic is time management. Time management is so important, whether we are, chasing after our goals, trying to move on to the next step, whether that's in our career, maybe fitness, maybe you got some creative goals you're working on. There's so many different things that time management is important for just our day-to-day lives. If we do not have good time management, I feel like it's a lot easier to let the days slip by, to just all of a sudden, oh my gosh, like time just feels like it's flying by. And I feel like these days, time feels like it is flying by. At least for me, it does. And so learning time management strategies is super beneficial. It's been really beneficial for me because I love to pack my schedule super busy, or as busy as I can. I just feel like I always need to be being productive. I have a hard time not being productive, which it sounds like that wouldn't be a problem, but it actually really is, because I feel like I don't rest enough sometimes. So with all that being said, I have developed a lot of time management strategies, especially while I was in school and I was working really hard. Not that I'm not working hard now, but I got lots going on always. So making sure I have the right time management is super beneficial for my schedule. So it's going to be beneficial for your schedule as well. Whether you are super packed from, the morning, the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, or whether, you just have your regular work day. And no matter what, having good time management strategy is really important to just fulfill your life properly. And I'm always talking about living your life to the fullest and the happiest. And that really includes making sure that days don't just slip on by in front of us. So today's is all about time management. And so what exactly is time management? Is it simply just keeping yourself as busy as possible to ensure you're always performing at peak productivity levels? The answer is no. When I say time management, when I talk about my busy schedule, I don't mean that we should be jamming everything in, waking up, starting your day at 4:30 a.m. and ending it at 10 o'clock at night and, jamming it full with lots of activities. It's not exactly what time management is, By definition, time management is the process of planning and exercising conscious control of time spent on specific activities, especially to increase effectiveness, efficiency, and productivity. So I think that this is why time management is so important, because if we manage our time well, then we don't have to jam pack our schedule with all this, high peak performance productivity ideas. We can, we can work when we are most effective, when we are most efficient, when we will have the high productivity levels, and then, we can also have time to relax and enjoy our life and hang out with friends and family and do all those things. It's all about finding a healthy balance between work and play is what I think time management is. And, the reality is there is a careful balance to really managing time wisely, so that you can get everything done as needed without putting too much pressure on yourself. And good time management requires, an important shift in focus from activity to results, so saying, being busy isn't the same as being effective. So if you know that you are most productive in the morning, you are a morning person, maybe that is when you need to be doing your most important tasks. And I will be going through some of that today. Employers really like good time management. That is something I've put on my schedule before, on my resume before, because it is good to have time management when you can show an employer that you can get work done, you can be efficient, you can always be moving forward. That is such an awesome thing. So being busy doesn't mean that you're being productive. It doesn't mean that you're being efficient. So having time management strategies integrated into your daily habits and your daily life is super beneficial to enjoy life to its fullest. So you will find that the hardest workers are not always the best managers of time. But this also doesn't mean that you should work less hard. So following effective time management strategies involves, really incorporating tactics into your daily, your weekly, and your monthly routine that will really optimize the available hours of the day. When I was going to school, I seriously did not feel like there was enough there wasn't enough hours in the day. I felt like I was always rushed. I had so much to do. And then I started to develop some time management strategies that really changed my shift and really changed my happiness overall. And I was able to have a social life and enjoy my free time when I had it, but also work really hard when I was in my work mode. So today we're spending some time talking about time management, which maybe that seems a little weird to be spending time figuring out time management for yourself. But in the end, it's truly worth it. So I really think, when we have good time management, we follow good strategies, we have a greater productivity and efficiency level, we are a better professional reputation as well, we're less stressed, we increase our opportunities for advancement when we have good time management strategies, we create greater opportunities to achieve important life and career goals that we've set out for ourselves. And when we don't have time management, when we fail to manage our time effectively, it can come with some really undesirable consequences, right? So missed deadlines, inefficient workflow, poor work quality, a poor professional reputation, your career just kind of feeling like you're stopped, your life just feeling like you've stopped in one spot, just higher stress levels. So it might seem kind of counterintuitive to spend time on developing time management skills, but in the end, it is super beneficial. So spending time to figure out that time, that time management strategies will just really benefit so many aspects of your life. So for the present you and the future you, which is so important. So when you have good time management, you have a good balance between work and play. And that's just crucial for your overall well-being. So, it's hard because we have to find the balance between being too social and, living every life to the fullest, but also achieving our goals and making sure that we're always advancing forward. And, it can't be all work and no play because you're going to miss out on some amazing parts of life. And you have to make sure you have downtime as well. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I sometimes forget to give myself some more downtime to just relax, that I don't need to be being productive 24/7. It's just how my brain works sometimes. So we have to make sure we have that downtime as well so that we don't get stressed out, that we don't burn ourselves out, because that can definitely happen so easily when we just focus on work and no play. I'm sure you've heard of workaholics. That is just constant work, and eventually you kind of dig your own hole and you go into this downward spiral of, well, first of all, you're missing out on so many amazing things about life, and you don't get to enjoy all those things and see your family and your friends, but then you also just burn yourself out to the point where you are forced to stop working, and now you have to deal with an illness probably, right? It could be a mental illness, a physical illness. You can make yourself really sick when you don't give yourself breaks. So that's why time management is so important. I'm going to be talking about some of the pitfalls of time management. So a lot of common mistakes that people can make, or that if you don't have good time management, what are exactly the pitfalls of time management. So there's so many different strategies that I'll be talking about, but I will be going through at least 3 main pitfalls that could happen. And then I'm going to jump right into some strategies so you can start implementing them into your everyday life. And this could be, seriously, it's part of your daily habits, part of your daily routine, not just in your career aspect or a goal aspect. It needs to be kind of a habit, right? Something that we do regularly, unconsciously without really thinking about it, just creating that habit for ourselves so that we can make sure we are living our life to the happiest and the fullest. So with that being said, it is time for a little bit of a break, but when we get back, I will jump into those strategies. I'll give you those 3 pitfalls. I'm going to talk about how you can implement all these things into your life. I'll be going through exactly why these are important, the ones that have worked for me, maybe the ones that have not worked for me in the past, maybe some of my time management strategies as well that I do on the daily, so that you can kind of hear from first experience that these things do work and they can help you be so much more efficient, productive, and still have time to have fun and enjoy all of life's beautiful things. So don't go anywhere. I will be right back. Now, I have to admit, I get bored extremely easily. So when I saw the reversible down alternative comfort set on Linens and Hutch website, I just had to get it. Now, I got this in ivory and sage, so the colors are beautiful and so fun for whatever mood I'm in, and they cut the middleman by working directly with their manufacturers so we can afford affordable luxury, okay? So it's double brushed woven microfiber. It's so soft. It's like this creamy, smooth texture. It's wrinkle resistant, so your bed always just looks stunning. And it's filled with micro down fiber alternative filling. I'm talking, it is the comfiest comforter I have ever had in my entire life. And since you are a GSMC Life and Happiness listener, you need to head on over to linensandhutch.com/life, enter in the promo code GSMC Life, and you will be receiving 70% off site-wide and free shipping. Go check out the reversible down comforter.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. So before the break, I rambled on about why exactly time management is so important. What exactly is time management, what that could mean to you, what that could mean to somebody else maybe. And now we're going to jump into the pitfalls of time management, and then I will go right into the strategies that I use and that I know a lot of other people use. These are really effective research-based time management strategies. You just have to find what works for you. Everybody is different. Everybody's, kind of functions on a little bit of a different level. So we have to make sure, try some of these strategies, pay attention to these pitfalls and really find out what's going to work for you. It could be a lot of trial and error, which seems kind of silly with time management, but you just have to find what works with your routine, what works with the way that you kind of function and the way you do your daily lives. But I promise you, I'm going to have a lot of strategies here that can help you be more efficient and more productive. So what are the 3 main pitfalls of time management? And that is, it's really easy to get off track when you're trying to manage your time. So you should really try to avoid some of these common pitfalls that I feel like a lot of people do without kind of realizing it sometimes. They don't realize how important these things are. So the first one is not making a to-do list. If you don't know what needs to be done, you can't effectively prioritize your workload, and then you can't get everything done. So making sure that you actually have a to-do list is so important. I feel like people just, make a to-do list in their head, but it's not as effective at all. You gotta pull out a piece of paper and write things down. I've mentioned before, I like my sticky to-do list. I like to make sure that I write a single thing that I have to do on a single sticky note so that my brain can only focus on that one thing that's on the sticky note instead of, looking at the 20 things I have on a big piece of paper, which will be really overwhelming for my brain and overwhelming for me. So me and my brain, we are attached, but I just mean it can be really overwhelming to look at a big list of 25 different things that you have to do that day, and it makes you actually less productive. So when you put a single thing that you have to do on a piece of sticky note and you only focus on that one thing, you pull that one sticky note in front of you, you're able to focus on that one thing and be the most effective. So making a to-do list in your head, it doesn't work. Grab a piece of paper and a pen and start writing things down. And then grab your sticky notepad and start writing them down individually. Now, the second pitfall is multitasking. It is actually humanly impossible to multitask. No one can multitask. I know you probably think you can multitask, but science has proven you actually can't fully multitask. You might feel like you can, and sometimes I feel like I can, but it's seriously, multitasking is actually very less productive than just focusing on one task. You feel like you're trying to, kill 2 birds with 1 stone by multitasking. It doesn't work that way. Your brain, you're kind of spreading yourself too thin. So it's like looking at a big giant to-do list. It's way too overwhelming. You got to focus on one thing at a time. So take your to-do list, take your little sticky note and focus on that one task. And then when you complete that task, you have to move on to the next. This is a habit that I have gotten into. I feel like I have 10 projects on the go, and I'm not able to ever put my 100% of myself into the one project because my brain, is kind of always thinking, okay, maybe I need to do this for this project tomorrow and that for this project tomorrow and this for that. And, instead of just sitting down and focusing, okay, this is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to get this finished and then I'm going to move on. So even, don't spread yourself too thin over various different projects that you have to do or various, your to-do list or anything like that. Focus on one thing at a time. Our brains are just not equipped to perform 2 tasks requiring high-level brain function at the same time. So pick one thing, focus on that one thing, get it done, check it off your to-do list, throw out your sticky note, and move on to the next. Now, the pitfall number 3 is not knowing how much time a task requires. So you have to make sure that when you are writing your to-do list, starting a task, make sure you know how long that task, is going to require you to do. Because when you have a to-do list of 25 things, but there's literally not enough time in the day because those tasks take too long, you're actually just kind of setting yourself up for failure. So you have to make sure that you are setting yourself up for what you can actually accomplish that day. You want to set yourself up for success. Sometimes we need to challenge ourselves. We need to work really hard and we have a really big to-do list. That's okay, but you need to, really pay attention to what task is going to take what kind of length, because, if you are writing a report, can you write it in an hour? Is it going to take you 2 days to do it? You really have to know that type of time management as well. So it's not just the strategies of when to do things and how to do things. It's also just knowing literally the time the length that it's going to take you to do that task. So those are the three main pitfalls of time management, the three main mistakes that most people make. I definitely agree with this. So make sure that you are making a to-do list, make sure that you focus on one thing at a time, and that you actually pay attention to how long one task will take. You got to set yourself up for success. So now, with all that being said, let me jump right in to some time management strategies that you can start implementing into your daily life right now. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is understanding that you are not perfect. One of the most difficult things for many people to accept is that the fact that they just aren't perfect. You just aren't perfect. I'm not perfect. We make mistakes. We're not always going to have amazing time management. We're not always going to be super efficient and productive. That's just not how it works. We are not always so perfect. And there are many ways you can do, you can really recognize that you are not perfect and that it is okay to make mistakes, and that can lead you to your successes. It may take some time for you to determine what works best for you. That's why I say when I'm going to go through these strategies, yes, it might take some trial and error to really know what's going to work perfect for you, but just keep trying, because I promise eventually you will figure it out, and it's okay not to be perfect because nobody is perfect. So anyone with this kind of perfect mindset is going to run into a scenario where, they fail. They make themselves fail. They set themselves up from failure. So take a moment to really just realize that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be imperfect. And just keep this in mind as you improve your time management skills. Understand, that even the most thought out plans can change or fail. You think that your paper is going to take you an hour, but it really does take you 2 days. Sometimes that happens, and that is okay. So, just don't be defeated by those mistakes. You just got to pick yourself back up, just like anything in life, and continue on those time management strategies. So now, plan out each day. Even though plans change, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't make a plan at all. There are many ways that you can do this and be successful. So it may take some time for you to exactly determine what is going to work best for you. And many people find it really helpful to take a few minutes every single night, before bed, and put together your agenda for the next day. That is what I do. I have a sheet of paper that I write down exactly what I'm going to be doing, the meals I'm going to be eating, all those types of things that I need to do. Go through my calendar, make sure I have any appointments, or what exactly is my to-do list for tomorrow. Now, I implement that into my my nighttime routine. Maybe that is something that you want to implement into your nighttime routine. Before you go to bed, just make your to-do list, write in your agenda for the next day, so you can sort out exactly, what time you need to wake up and what time you really need to be focused. So make sure you are planning out your days, and, take a step back from your list to, really decide who, what, when, where, why, and how you are going to integrate, all these responsibilities that day into your day. Sometimes we have to write our to-do list, and then we got to take a step back and kind of figure out, okay, what is the most important? What am I going to do? When do I need to get this done? Do I have an appointment that I have to be? Where do I have to be at a certain time? Sometimes we've got to take a step back from that to-do list, give our brain and ourselves a little bit of a break, and then go back in and figure out exactly how we are going to integrate these into our day. Add this to your nighttime routine after you brush your teeth or something like that. Sit down, or before, maybe before you want to relax. Maybe you want to implement this to the end of your workday routine. If you don't have anything, if you're just going to go home after work and you get to relax, maybe this is something you want to do before you leave the office. You want to write your plan for tomorrow so that you can go home and fully relax without having to think about anything productive after that. You can actually just go home with a bowl of popcorn, watch a movie, and relax on your Tuesday night instead of trying to think of, okay, what responsibilities do I need to do tomorrow? So add that to the end of your workday routine. I like to do this right when I get home, maybe eat some dinner, write my to-do list, and then I'm able to relax the rest of the night if I don't have any other plans. So there's a couple strategies. I have so much more to share with you, but it's time for another break. So don't go anywhere. I will be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching.
Hey!
The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Okay, we're in the last stretch of today's episode, so let me jam in as many time management strategies as I can into our time here. My next one for you is start your day early. So you can ask any successful person what time they get up in the morning, and you will see a theme. They get up early and try to do something, take full advantage of their day. So I wanted to give you some examples here that I found online of, people that a lot of people consider successful and what exactly time they wake up in the morning and what they do. So here's a few that I found. So Apple CEO Tim Cook, he gets up at 5 a.m. Vogue editor Anne Wintour, she rises at 5:45 to play tennis before going into the office. And Oprah, she wakes up at 6 a.m. to meditate and run on the treadmill before heading into the studio. So, waking up at a good time is so important to set yourself up for a productive day, but it also is integrating some exercise into your morning routine can really help set you up for a productive day. I know it might seem kind of weird. It's like, I wake up, I'm tired, I don't feel like exercising, but it's actually going to wake you up and give you more energy throughout your day. Now, set your priorities and your goals when you are planning your day. A daily work plan, really enables you to determine the course of your day and then make that incremental process, towards your goals and incorporating all your responsibilities. So, some of the large ongoing projects, you got to plan out for things, right? And just make sure that you're just paying attention to when you're doing things. Like I said, do one thing at a time. But, focus on the most important thing first. Prioritize your to-do list. A lot of career coaches actually suggest splitting your time into focus days and buffer days. So this means is that your focus days are the really big things that you have to do. Your really important days, those really focused days, those it's a lot of meetings or just kind of your big, really get your big stuff done, and then your buffer days are things that are just a little bit more easier. So maybe a lot of paperwork on your buffer days. It doesn't take as much high level brain function as your focus days. This kind of just gives your brain a little bit of a break, gives you a little bit of a break. Okay, I have a day tomorrow where I don't actually have to be 110%. I can be a little bit lower than that. I can ease off, have a little bit more of a relaxing but still productive day. Now, make sure you're prioritizing not only what the first thing that you need to do in the morning is, or your first task you need to do, but also prioritize your daily, weekly, and monthly tasks. So along with planning your sessions, you should definitely identify those priorities for upcoming days, those weeks, and even months if you can, and if you have that type of schedule. So keeping tabs on your future tasks will really allow you to kind of just disperse your workload in a way that avoids making you overly busy or overly stressed. You don't want to jam pack your schedule. You want good time management means that you can disperse some projects later on in the month and it can be productive. You know what you're working towards. So really just having having a plan is so important, and you'll be able to establish a more structured routine for your daily goals. You're going to remain a lot more productive throughout the week. So I think one of the best ways to get started is just by making a long list of every single task or your duties that you have in your job. If there's any deadlines, any meetings, any appointments that you need to get to, and then you can spend some time breaking down these into daily, weekly, and monthly tasks. And then once you know these details, it'll be a lot much easier to stay focused from day to day and then complete everything on your to-do list. My next one for you is just determine your productive times. If you are a morning person and you can be productive in the morning, wake up early and do your most important task in the morning. If you are somebody that works a little bit, maybe like noon is like your most productive time ever. So maybe noon you want to, maybe you want to always set yourself up for a little bit of a later lunch, and you have 2 hours, noon to 2 o'clock, where you really just sit down and focus. If you're a morning person who's able to just jump out of bed wide-eyed and bushy-tailed like a minute before, get up and just take advantage of that. Some of our, those night owls out there, I have a friend who literally says he's the most productive between like 2 and 4 a.m. And that's literally when he does like his important tasks. He knows that about himself. I think it is so weird. He will literally sleep and wake up at like 2 a.m. and like do his productive task. Like, I just find it the strangest thing ever, but it works for him. So, if you have a schedule that you're able to do that and, work from 2 to 5 a.m. and then sleep for another few hours and get up and be productive for the rest of the day, good for you. Do what works for you. It's different for everybody. So find your productive times during your day and set yourself up for those. And then when you do figure out your productive time, so if you're a morning person or a night person, or you like that middle afternoon, or maybe you're weird like one of my friends who likes to do it at 2 o'clock in the morning, that is totally fine. Figure that out. And then this is when you can kind of schedule the rest of your to-do list around that. I also, I schedule social media times that I can be on social media that I'm not going to be productive. So obviously make sure that you are scheduling your social media times or your unproductivity of, lunch and this or whatever that around the times that you are productive. If you have to shift things around in your schedule sometimes, that is okay. Remember, mistakes, changes, it's going to happen. It's inevitable. So just be able to be adaptable to those things, which leads me to my next tip for you is just remove all your distractions. So if you are like me who gets distracted by social media, make sure you set up your social media times during your day when they are not during your productive times, obviously. So eliminate your smartphone, your social media, your internet, your email, some coworkers sometimes, whatever you have to do, your dog, get out of the house, eliminate any distractions that you have so that you are in a comfortable workspace. Which leads me to my next tip is making sure you have a comfortable and productive environment. We cannot work our butts off in an environment that is distracting. So make sure you have a proper desk if you need to be doing your work. Make sure that, there's no clutter around. That leads into my next tip, declutter your area. Our emotions are so closely tied to our environment. So if you are in a space where you cannot feel like you are being productive or creative, you need to make sure that you are adjusting your environment so that you can be productive and creative. I always like to set myself up a little area. I move around a lot, it seems, and so I always feel like I need to make sure in my new room or my new place that I'm at that I set myself up a little work corner, a little work area that I can just kind of organize my things, have it all nice and neat so I know when I need to sit down and do work, I have a productive place to do that. So make sure you figure out what works for you and set up your times for your social media, your distractions, all those things. If you need to schedule those things into your agenda, schedule them into your agenda. My next one for you is using a timer. I know it kind of sounds weird, but using a timer might be one of the most, the best, easiest kind of time management strategies out there. So setting a timer can be effective, for just to remind you of breaks, that, okay, I can take a break at this time, set some time limits for yourself, when you're almost racing with yourself, okay, I got to get this stuff done, or I get a 30-minute break after this timer goes off, those types of things. Timers can be really, really beneficial. Another great use of a timer is setting time constraints for specific tasks, right? So by giving yourself a set amount of time to complete that objective, then you will push yourself to reach that deadline, and then you are obviously going to make sure you're avoiding, missing into those deadlines, and it feels good to accomplish your work in a set time when you have that little goal with yourself, if you're competitive with yourself like I am. My next tip for you is to recharge your batteries, and I'm not talking about your electronics, I'm talking about you. If you need to schedule in your downtime to recharge yourself, schedule in your downtime to recharge yourself. It is so, so important to make sure that we have that downtime, that we have that social time, we have that time to relax and do nothing, where our brain doesn't need to be on high power, where we can actually just sit back and relax a little bit and let ourselves kind of ease into the next day. So if you have you recharge your battery at night, perfect. If you need a little bit of a recharge in the middle of the afternoon, perfect. Schedule in that time and make sure you're giving yourself the rest. And my last tip for you is the 80-20 rule. So this means that 20% of actions drive 80% of your results. Or you can look at it as 80% accounts for only 20% of results. So this means that the successful people know that your top priorities, or the 20% of your priorities, are going to drive the most important results. And then you can delegate the rest if you are in that position. Well, that is all of the time management strategies that I have for you today and time management information. I hope this was beneficial. I hope you saw spaces that you can integrate into your daily routine. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. As always, I had so much fun sharing this information with you. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button. Head over to our social media pages, like and follow, and as always, leave a 5-star review. I look forward to sharing more information with you next time on how to live your life to the happiest and the fullest. Stay happy, stay positive, and manage your time. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find the show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows. From the GSMC Podcast Network, from sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast.